So Richard Butler is, of course, an Arsenal podcaster. Nigel Rothband with the Manchester City show. Both of them here right now. And what was a pretty attritional game at times this afternoon. And, well, in the end, perhaps a surprising outcome. Arsenal beating Manchester City for the first time in the league for 8 years or so. And denied top of the table by Spurs. Richard, good evening to you both. Hi, Richard. You first.
Yeah, I mean, at this moment in time, I'm not too concerned with the fact that we're not quite top of the league. I just think it was such a big result for us today. You know, like you said, it's been a long time since we've beaten Man City. Mikel Arteta had never done it before as Arsenal manager, so in the league anyway, at least. So I thought it was a massive statement performance from us today. Last season, the 2 matches against City in the league, we didn't really compete. We lost them both fairly comfortably, and I thought today it was all about trying to make sure this time that we showed Man City maybe that we'd learnt from last season, and we're going to be more competitive when it comes down to it this season. I think we saw that today. Yes, it wasn't the strongest Man City performance we've ever seen, but it doesn't matter. You can only beat what team's there, and Man City are always a tough team to beat, and we found a way to do it today. And in the end, it was maybe the substitutions, not just Martinelli who got the goal, but all the substitutions that we made a real impact today. And I think maybe that is the difference this season to what happened last season, where we maybe didn't have enough impact players from the bench to get us these type of results when it mattered. And today, it all came together for us. And yeah, we left it late. It wasn't the most free-flowing football from either side, but no. At this moment in time, I don't care about that. I'm just so delighted that this young team have finally managed to get the result we've been waiting for a long time.
I think you talk really well and make some great points. It's the sort of game that Manchester City often win when they're perhaps not completely on it. They make the job a successful one when they get it done, don't they, Nigel?
Well, they do, and we haven't been at our best all season, let's be honest. And having said that, and having lost 2 on the bounce now, which of course is unheard of, we're still in with a shout. So I think we have to understand there's, 8 games gone and there's still 30 games to go. So I really don't think we should get too excited about it. It was a poor game. I thought it lacked quality. It was a tense affair. What was it, sort of 3 shots on target in the whole 90 minutes? And it took a deflection to win it. So not a great game, not fantastic quality, clearly disappointing. And the fact that we haven't lost for so many years just shows how much we've dominated over the years. So I'm not sure what we can take from it. Would have preferred to have won it. Good probably time to go into the international break for City on the back of those 3 domestic losses, actually 2 in the league, to try and regroup. Then, of course, we're going to have the best defensive midfielder in the world back. It's been a massive loss, of course. Who would have thought he would have been such a big loss as he was? And then Kevin De Bruyne is on his way back as well. So those are 2 misses for us, I think. And it's been 3 losses without Rodri.
Yeah, I mean, the bits and pieces sometimes which Manchester City managed to get right wasn't quite there today. And I think that Arsenal's belief, for me, it wasn't a flowing game. We know that particularly. But Arsenal's belief, and Nigel, I come to you as a Man City fan, first of all, now. I think what they did last season, they nearly needed to do before they thought that they could really stand toe-to-toe with a side like Manchester City again, even though you've not been playing at your best.
No, I think defensively, both teams were superb today. I don't think there was a huge amount of creativity going forward. But listen, Arsenal did a job, and I think those 3 substitutes that Arteta brought on clearly made the difference. Martinelli he took the shot on. You're not going to score unless you do shoot. So I think credit to Arsenal. Well done to them. And I think those 3 substitutes made a big difference. And I guess they've learned the lesson. After so many losses, they're bound to do that, I guess.
Richard, come back on that one. First of all, defensively, for me, I can't understand after all of the stuff that happened with England, and he left the squad and was told he's never going to play for England again, is rubbish for me. I mean, Ben White, he's a top player.
Yeah, I mean, what's happened is with Ben White, he's had to obviously change position in the last couple of years. He's now playing as that sort of right back,
Yeah.
where he was originally playing in a centre, and that position seems to suit him really well. And you know, there's no one else in the league who I don't think who's consistent as he is in that position now. And yeah, why he's not in the England squad, why he's not going to get picked for England, we don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. But certainly in terms of form, he deserves to be there, doesn't he? Because he is playing brilliantly. And today again, you know, my concern was down that side of the pitch, actually, the way that Man City attack. And he shut that out pretty much the whole game. He was brilliant. And he wasn't the only one. I agree with Nigel there. I thought defensively both teams were really good today. And that was why there were so few chances. That was why it was such a tight game. And I'm quite liking the excuses, actually. They've got players missing, they've got players. We had Saka missing today. Martinelli is the first time he's played. Thomas Partey's not played for weeks, came off the bench today. So we've had our own injury problems. It's part of football, isn't it? Man City have got a big squad. That's not an excuse for me. We beat him today fair and square. We played better on the day and we deserved it.
Yeah. One more for you as well on Saka and where he is. And there's one or two pieces in the newspaper I've been reading about where saying, you know, perhaps don't push him too far with England at this stage. You know, there's no point really, because England have qualified. We know that, don't we, for the next tournament. That for me is more important at times for the relationship between club and country when you have qualified for something like this, and sort of open it and give other people an opportunity. And I think Gareth Southgate he's too formulaic on the pitch and now too formulaic off the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the players. He's got the players he wants to pick, and I mean, to be fair, Saka has been one of England's most consistent players now, hasn't he, for a couple of years? So, but when he's fit, he's gonna be picked for England, and rightly so. But I think at the moment, you know, I wasn't thinking so before this game, but perhaps this injury's come at a good time because it means he's going to get a couple of weeks rest, which is needed. He's not really had a rest for probably 3 or 4 years in a row now. What with tournaments for England in the summer, obviously playing nearly every game for Arsenal. So I think this has maybe come at a good time. He can have a bit of a rest, recover, and then he can come back after the international break, hopefully back to his best again and carry on, because he's been having a great season up until now. He's been playing with, I don't think he's been 100% fit a lot of the season. He seems to have been carrying knock here and there. So I think it's maybe helped today that he's had a rest and now he gets 2 weeks off. And let's hope that he's going to benefit from that long term, because I think he's played too much football. He's only a young player still. He's still a very young player, isn't he? Yeah,
no, I completely agree with that. Another young player that took his time to come through, Nigel, of course, Phil Foden. Are you just your watching brief on him this season as well so far? He's for me got more of a smile on his face when he plays, even more than he used to have. I think he's now comfortable in a more grown-up way than he's been in the past.
I think there's no doubt of his quality, and we see that both for England and for City. I think he's grown. I forget exactly how many games he's played for City, but he's a young man. He's won so many trophies, and I think he's also got the benefit of playing in lots of different positions. And I think that's one of the issues. And I think with the key players being out, we've had to adapt. Obviously, with Bernardo Silva playing much deeper in that defensive midfield role today, meant that actually sort of Alvarez, who'd been in that sort of pocket behind Haaland, was pushed wide. And Foden again was in a different position as well. So I do think he's had to play in lots of different positions. For me, I prefer him actually sort of playing up the middle actually and sort of playing behind Haaland as well. He plays in a different way. And I think we've missed that, having to sort of move people around. Can I just mention Haaland as well? Because we've not mentioned him.
I was going to come to. You haven't mentioned him much this season, have you?
Oh, we haven't, and I think you know, let's write him off now, should we? If that would be a good tactic, I think we'll do that at our peril. I think, you know, what a fantastic football, what an amazing season, and yes, he's kind of. I love the fact he's kind of not scored in a couple of games, and it's going to be headline news around the world. I think the fact that we have, as mentioned before, so with Rodri not being there and having to adapt slightly, I think people have not sort of been playing in the positions he's used to. Yes, we've missed De Bruyne as well, but actually, I don't think he's had a shot on target today, which I think is the first time in his whole of his City career. So yeah, it's someone we have to talk about. He's in the conversation. We write him off at our peril. I think he's due a hat-trick any day soon.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it? I mean, if you have a season like he had, and then you have this season in the way, it doesn't always happen. It can always just be a silly thing, because he's an out-and-out goal scorer. Now, many moons ago now, I used to sit on a Saturday morning with Mickey Quinn, who was an out-and-out goal scorer. He'd admit that. And he'd score with any part of his body if he possibly could. But he could score goals, and so could Haaland. He had his moments as well when it just didn't quite happen. It wasn't luck or anything like that. The hard work was still going on. But these things do happen every now and again. And the break-up for strikers, I think, is worse than any other player at this stage when you have these two big, massive breaks and you're away from it, particularly if you haven't scored.
That's right, and I think I've no doubt that he will get back on the scoring sheet fairly soon. He's the complete footballer, of course. I think he's got absolutely everything. He's got strength, he's got pace, he knows where the back of the net is, he scores goals, he gets himself into the right position. So I've not got too many worries about Haaland. I think he'll be back very, very soon. And
just one thing on Manchester City, for me, I think it's good that they're getting a proper test and not just two from Arsenal.
Yeah, and I think there's a reason why no team has ever won 4 Premier League titles on the trot. There's a reason for that. City have gone season after season after season, won 3 on the trot, won the treble, then won the Super Cup. I mean, what a record. And I think Guardiola's done the most amazing job to motivate that group of players, to make them go again. I mean, to go again is going to be a big challenge. And Arsenal will improve, Liverpool have improved, Spurs have certainly improved. So there's more competition, which I welcome, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think as well for Arsenal this season too, there are other clubs with Newcastle, West Ham getting 1 or 2 results at the moment, Brighton as well, is that there is a sense there are more sides now capable of nicking points off these top 3 or 4.
I think that's right. And I said before, I think I welcome that. And I think people have started to work out City as well, haven't they? I think people understand the way that we play. And they obviously, Haaland is someone in that first season, they couldn't work him out. I think, yes, he's being marked out of many games, which is absolutely right, what you'd expect. So I think it's great for the Premier League. It's great for football that we've got now 3, 4, 5 teams all competing at the top.
And of course, for Arsenal, when they do come back, you've got to go to Stamford Bridge first up. Not worried about that one, are you, Nigel? Richard, I should say.
Well, I wouldn't have been a couple of weeks ago. They've suddenly a little bit of form, haven't they? Which is a little bit worrying. But we've got a good record there in recent years. I think we won the last 3 seasons at Stamford Bridge. So I'm not overly concerned. But coming back off an international break, you're never quite sure how everybody's going to be fitness-wise. Hopefully they all come back fit. We've got great momentum going into that now with the victory here. I was a little bit worried, obviously, with a European defeat in the week. I think if we'd lost today as well, going into a break on that kind of run of form wouldn't have been ideal, would it? But now we've got the victory today and hopefully everyone comes back fit. I mean, Chelsea are a good side on their day. They've got very good players, haven't they? So it wouldn't surprise me if they do go on a continue this run now going into the rest of the season and are up there challenging for that top 4, top 6. But at this moment in time, after today, we've just beaten the best team in Europe, potentially the best team in the world. So I'm not worried about Chelsea or anybody else at this moment. But in 2 weeks' time, it might change.
And Nigel, final thought from you on this. It's keeping fingers crossed that because most of your squad is always off round the world playing during international breaks, that nobody gets a silly, stupid injury.
Absolutely. I think Pep said that in his post-match comments as well, didn't he? I think that's important. I think we have had a couple of injuries, I mentioned. I won't go on about that too much. I think it has impacted on the squad. Let them come back. Let's regroup. And as I said right at the start as well, Mark, I mean, we haven't been at our best this season. I'm hoping that break will give us an opportunity to reflect on those 3 defeats, the 2 in the league and 1 in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle, and give us an opportunity to get back to the side we know we are. Yeah, well, but as I said before, good to have that extra competition this season.
Well, they might not be at their best, but I tell you what, both you, Nigel, and you, Richard, have been at your best again tonight as Sunday Night Clubbers here on Talk TV.